Hello everybody, it's me yet again, Raymond YouTube 1. Now, the topic of this video is going to be pretty different. Today I'm going to talk about why physical is superior, why physical will always beat digital. Now, I'm going to be real with you. I do like having digital purchases. I have a Game Pass Core on my Xbox Series X, and I do have a couple of games purchased on Steam. However, I will have to address this, despite the fact that I have digital purchases, I do prefer a physical over digital. Now, I'm not saying I have anything against digital content, far from it. As like I said, I have digital purchases on my Xbox and Steam. But the reason why physical will always be superior to digital is because, if you have a physical copy, you have the right to sell it, return it, or trade it in with another game, or you could share it with your friends and stuff. You cannot do that with a digital copy of the game, and because of that, the digital content is tied within your account. The issue with that is that you do not have any control over with your account. All right. The only reason why physical will be superior is because, again, you have the right of ownership. Now, you could say that if physical discs don't matter, you still gotta install the game anyways, because you have to install day one patches. Yes, that's true. Okay? No, you have to install patches on the game. But if the game gets delisted, you'll be left with a buggy version. But even still, it's still a superior option compared to digital. Because even if you're left with a buggy version of the game on the disc, guess what? You still own the copy of the game. And that's the thing, is that you never really own the license. All you own with a physical copy of the game, you own a piece of plastic. Or the same with the cartridges, you own it. Well, you have the right to sell it, trade it, or share it, or even return it. Now, the reason why I buy physical stuff is because I like the idea of owning the game. It's not just games. It could also happen with movies, TV shows, and music too. Now, I will say this, if you want to, you can go check out Adam Corley. He does an amazing job explaining why he thinks digital content is not considered property. Now, there's one thing that he will say. He is right about one thing. Actually, no. He is right about digital content, is that digital content is not considered property. Okay? Yeah. Digital content, including Steam, is not considered property. And yes, I'm not going to piss off a lot of PC gamers out there, such as Gara, Clancy King, oh no, it's Alex, Griffins Gaming, and all the other PC gamers out there, including Fatega. I don't know. The games that you buy digitally, whether it be Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, or even Steam for that matter, yes, Steam. Digital content is not considered property. Alright? The reason why it's not considered property is because when you buy a physical copy, you own the copy of the game. So you have the right to do whatever you want with it. You cannot do that with a digital copy. Because when you buy the game digitally, you don't own that. Because you have to remember, digital content is nothing more than a rental. You don't own that. I'm sorry. You don't own it. You just have the rights to it as long as your hard drive functions. But you don't have the physical thing that is your property. You can't resell the right to a digital game. It's just not there. It's not physical. You don't own that. And another thing I want to point out too is that you know those end user license agreements that people don't read? Yeah, well, in that end user license agreement, what they also say is that, yeah, even though we tell you you bought it, you don't own it because it's digital. So yes, even though you bought a game with your own money, because of the fact that it's digital, you don't really own the game. Basically, technically they have the right to take it away from you at any time. Because you have to remember, like, you guys remember Silent Hill's PT? You know, the PT demo for the PlayStation 4 that was removed? Well, if you still have PT on your PS4, you're good to go, but if your hard drive gets corrupted or whatever, it's no longer re-downloadable. Here's something that you need to know. Like, when people downloaded the PT demo on the PlayStation 4, right before it was removed from the PlayStation Store, like, they said that a license check was failing because of the fact that PT got removed from the PlayStation Store. And because of that, all of the digital games that they purchased have been locked. Yeah, even though these users absolutely did nothing wrong, and they bought all the games legitimately with their own money and stuff, because of the fact that the games are digital, guess what? The games don't work. Because you don't own it. So basically, what that means is like the end user license agreement, the thing you sign, you always tend to ignore. It always tells you, like, yeah, we don't mean buy, even though we tell you you bought something, you never really bought it. So you don't really own it, for that matter. So, for example, if you want to look at the Steam user license agreement, yes. I know this is going to trigger a lot of Steam users, but here's what it says through Steam's end user license agreement. Okay, this is what the Steam end user license agreement says. It is on the first part of the second chapter of Steam's end user license agreement. 2. Licenses. A. General Content and Service License. Steam and your subscriptions require the download and installation of content and services onto your computer. Valve hereby grants, and you accept, a non-exclusive license and right to use the content and services for your personal, non-commercial, except where commercial use is expressly allowed, herein or in the applicable subscription terms. This license ends upon termination of A. this agreement, or B. a subscription that includes the license. The content and services are licensed, not sold. Your license confers no title of ownership in the content and services. To make use of the content and services, you must have a Steam account, and you may be required to be running the Steam client and maintaining a connection to the internet. They are telling you that the games you have are not your property. They are completely subjected to the whim of the launcher, which you do not own any claim to, and your rights can be revoked at any time of their choosing. Now, like, the reason why Valve is being ran as it is because, well, Gabe Newell. Now, Gabe Newell is a pretty cool guy. Now, like, the reason why Valve is being ran as it is because Gabe simply wants them to. Now, whenever Gabe Newell leaves Valve, like say he could retire, or he could pass away, or whatever the case may be, I'm not saying it could happen right away, but all I'm saying is, at any point in time, if Gabe Newell leaves Valve, like, there's nothing saying that the next person in charge of Valve believes in what Gabe believes in. And when that happens, the next person in charge of Valve will be like, are we really gonna keep 30-year-old or 20-year-old, 10-year-old games on our storefront? Like, nope, none of these games. These games that are 30 years old, 20 years old, 25 years old, 10 years old, or whatever, they're not making any profit, so why are we spending money on them just to keep them on the storefront? Like, they can always say, let's lead on to the whole, and you don't own it thing, and let's go ahead and change up our policies. I'm tired of having us spending money on just to keep our 30-year-old games on our storefront. Like, it's possible, okay? And because of the fact that many PC games never got a physical release in a very long time, they could be affected by this. It's possible. Just look at what happened with PlayStation ever since Jim Ryan took over. Jim Ryan tried to axe the PS3 support, the PSP support, and PS Vita support, and let's not forget, he did not include any backwards compatibility through physical discs with PS1, PS2, and PS3 on the PlayStation 5. And that's just one guy. One new guy. Like, the same could happen with Valve. And so, all I'm saying is, like, the news I'm trying to make is corporations exist for the sole purposes of generating revenue, not spending it. I'm not trying to preach gloom and doom here. I'm just trying to make you guys be aware of digital distribution. A lot of people are saying, like, modern physical games are broken nowadays. You gotta install a day one patch. Yes, no one disagrees with that. But physical is still a far superior option compared to digital. Because even if you're left with a buggy version of the game on the disc, at least you still own the copy of the game. You still have, because it's physical, you have the right to sell it or return it or trade it in with another game or share it with a friend or whatever the case may be. You can't do that on digital because the digital games that you purchased are tied to your account, which you do not have any control over. So technically, they can take away your rights when you bought the game digitally. Like, say you're closing your account or they wiped your system or whatever. They can do that. So, yes, buying digital games is convenient. I even have Game Pass Core myself, and I bought a whole bunch of games digitally off of Steam. But you had to remember, when you buy games digitally, you're trading away your right of ownership. Okay? And I know people are gonna bring this up. Like, there's another storefront on PC where you could buy games, which is GOG. You probably know what GOG is. So. Yeah. Like, when you buy PC games from GOG, they're DRM free. So, you can pretty much play the game on PC with no problems. Now, you could say, like, well, I bought the game on GOG, and because of it's DRM free, then what if I back the game up on a hard drive or burn the game on a CD or a disc or whatever, or back it up onto an SD card congratulations, you just created physical media. Like, yeah. Like, I mean, technically you own you own the hard drive that has the game in it, and you own the disc that contains the game, and you own the SD card that you put your game in. So, technically, you own the game. You just do a poor job at it, but technically, you own it. Another thing I should point out is that, Valve recently announced that they're gonna drop Steam support for older Mac versions along with its 32-bit games. Now, I believe that the reason why Valve is doing this is because Apple themselves is discontinuing 32-bit content, 32-bit as in the computer infrastructure. So, because of the fact that Apple is dropping 32-bit support, the backwards compatibility will not function. So, if these games bought these games digitally, quote unquote bought, they always say that it's like well, I can always reclaim it from Steam. The answer is no, you can't. Now, to Valve's credit, they did try to fight this because it's technically Apple's fault, but because of the fact that both Apple and Valve are two separate companies, well, one company's policy ends up controlling the other company's policy. So essentially, they end up violating their internal rules because of it. So, yeah. Just to bring this up, here is Microsoft Flight Simulator for the Xbox Series X, right here. So, when you open this game up, seems like it. There we go. It is a 2-disc Xbox Series X game, right here. The whole game is on 2 discs. The entire thing. So, because it's physical, I own the game. Yes, the patches help, but they're not a requirement. You see, the reason why you install games onto a hard drive nowadays is that you remember back in the day where you had to insert games onto your game console, like on your PlayStation 2, the original Xbox, or GameCube, and games would take a while to load. It's like a minute or two. Now let's say now as time goes on, games get bigger. We're talking about 100 gigabytes. So with the case of Microsoft Flight Simulator, I believe this is 130 gigabytes. Right here, I might be a little off with the size, so please bear with me. So the reason why you would have to install games onto a hard drive is so that games would read faster read speeds. So playing the game off of a hard drive, it would take 5 seconds to load. By comparison, if you're playing the game right off the disc, such as this, instead of waiting 5 seconds to load, you'd be waiting 5 to 10 minutes. Because, again, we're dealing with 100 gigabytes of game data. Because that's why they need to be installed to a hard drive, so that they can read games way faster. You understand what I mean? I've seen Griffins Gaming's videos of where he tells people saying, the games are not entirely on the disc because you still have to download a day 1 patch. And if after a game gets delisted, you won't be able to install the patch. Yes, nobody disagrees with that. But physical is still a superior option compared to digital, because even if a game gets delisted from the storefront, and if you cannot download any patches or updates, and all you're left with is a buggy version of the game on the disc, guess what? You still own the physical copy of the game. Like, see, all of this, Flight Simulator right here, it's right here. The whole game is right here. 2 discs. It's right here. I have it right here. Like, you have, I know I'm gonna sound like a broken record, but when you have it physically, what you have is a piece of plastic. So by buying a physical copy of the game, you have the right to sell it, return it, trade it in with another game, or share it with your friends or whatever. You cannot do that with a digital copy. It's like you bought a physical copy of Microsoft Flight Simulator on your Xbox Series X. So you have the right to do whatever you want with it. By comparison, if you bought Microsoft Flight Simulator on Steam, you cannot do that because, again, a digital copy of the game is tied to an account which you do not have any control over. So theoretically, technically, Valve has the right to take away access of your digital purchase. Same thing. It's not just Valve. It's also with Xbox storefronts, the PlayStation storefront, and Nintendo storefronts. Like, it's not just. It could be anything. I'm not saying Steam is bad. Far from it. I'm just saying that digital content is nothing more than a rental. Okay? Like, and because of the fact that many games on PC never got a physical release in a very long time, there's a chance that your access to those games could be taken away. Now, again, you could always bring up GOG or something, but I believe I had this discussion with Justin DMs on Discord, and even he admits that it's actually a pretty good point. It's one of the reasons why he prefers GOG over Steam. So I'm not trying to preach gloom and doom here. Like, if you want to buy digital content, go for it. There's nothing wrong with that. But just be aware that when you buy digital content, you're trading your ownership rights for convenience. Alright? Yes, digital content is convenient, but I just also want you to be aware that digital content is not considered property. Okay? That's my take on this, so what do you guys think? Make sure you post something in the comments below to let me know what your thoughts are. I would love to hear what your response is. And make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And click that notification bell to see more. And I will see you guys next time. Later.